Today, we travel to Laurel, Maryland. Broken system, the headline reads. Chief says teen who broke into 121 cars in one night is back out on the streets. It was only like 5 hours later, and the kid's back out on the streets. Just taking a hammer and bashing windows out in cars, and yep, I'll take that. Thank you very little. Absolutely no accountability. No accountability. This is what justice reform is all about, isn't it? Yeah, letting criminals run around no matter what their age. Doesn't matter if they're young, they're old. Just let them run around. I'm sure they'll be better people next time. Yeah, no, let's get into it. Here we go. I don't normally read individual news stories of criminal activity, but this one was so blatant, I couldn't pass it up. It's like, what are you, how does that happen? And we're going to read about how it happens, but it's like, how does that happen? I mean, what's wrong with you people? Are you mentally challenged? Are you mentally ill? See, 121 cars in a single night. Do you know how much damage that is? Do you know how many thousands and thousands of dollars that is? Do you know how many lives were impacted? It wasn't really a violent crime, so let's just let them go out that's literally what they said. It wasn't violent. First time offender. Yeah, but that's pretty big offense. I say give him at least a couple of years. Let him cool his jets. Let him get to the age where he's an adult, and then we'll stick him for 5 to 10. I don't know. I'm just talking, right?
The Laurel Police Department announced a major break in a case that we told you about several weeks ago. It involves several teenagers who investigators say are responsible for breaking into cars and leaving a lot of them like that, busted out windows, garbage bags covering them, glass all over the roadways. News 4's Joseph Olmo has more on the case and why the police chief is calling for more accountability.
Shocker.
Hey there, this is an absolutely insane story. We are talking about
Agreed.
16-year-old
16
in over 100 vehicles.
Where are his parents? You know what? If your kid under the age of 18 commits a crime, I say half that kid's sentence should be paid by the parents. I don't know, just throwing out ideas here. So there's some accountability. These parents, these kids, yeah, whole thing is just absolutely screwed.
Break-ins, all of it happening in one night, not just in Prince George's County, but also in Anaonda County and Howard County. I want to get
3 counties.
The chief of the Laurel Police
Tri-County
away from this podium and updated us. 121 vehicle break-ins, 3 teenagers. You were able to arrest one and charge one just last week. What's the deal with the 2 other teenagers, Chief?
So, due to the continuing investigation, our detectives identified 2 other young people that were involved, and we anticipate them to be in custody later today.
We're looking at video right now of what happened on the night of May 4th, car after car after car. It's 121 in total. What was it, like 40 or 50 just in the city of Laurel alone?
We had 54 here in Laurel. The rest were, as you mentioned earlier, Howard County, joining Prince George's County and Anne Arundel County.
And what were these kids doing?
They were just simply going through neighborhoods and targets of opportunity, breaking into cars. If there's something in there, they would steal it. If there's nothing in there, they'd move to another car. As you've seen the video, they move pretty quickly. But our experience is the vehicle that's being driven by one of the suspects is normally a stolen vehicle.
Makes sense.
Sort of breaking into the cars, they aren't venturing too far from the vehicle. And our understanding is they do that because if the police arrive or some other interruption occurs, they can quickly get back into the car and get out of the area.
Chief, you got kind of fired up.
Gone.
Podium. On behalf of the victims, you said, a lot of people will look at vandalism or car break-ins and say this is a low-level crime, but for people who need to get to appointments or bring their kids to practice, this is their life. You had a message about accountability in this press conference. What do you want people to know about that?
Well, as you mentioned, we hear from our community. We listen to the community. We had 54 families just here in Laurel who lost their car for a period of time. That's also a loss of money on their deductible that the family many times can't afford. And we have community meetings. We hear about this repeatedly. And people are upset there's no accountability. The people that were responsible for doing this should be held accountable to make these families whole in their losses. And also there should be an amount of rehabilitation within the system. This young man was released within 5 hours of us taking him into custody, back into the environment that he came from. That's not an unusual circumstance. And frankly, from what we see is there's little to, if any, accountability down the road from the system, the rest of the system.
Zero.
There needs to be an amount of accountability. That's the only way they're going to learn not to do this. And they need to make sure that the people, our victims, at least in some way, are made whole from their losses.
Here's that video going back to the original May 4th.
Dozens of people in the Laurel area woke up to some bad news and a big mess over the weekend. Laurel police say there were nearly 50 car break-ins within the city limits, even more outside. And in some cases, thieves took valuables, and others, nothing at all, just left the mess. News 4's Darcy Spencer has reaction and video showing the culprits at work.
This is what dozens of people woke up to here in the Laurel area early Sunday morning. Their car windows broken out. Many spending the day today trying to get this mess fixed and missing a day's work.
No, we have never seen this before. And I've been living here for 22 years.
Jackie Brown's car was broken into in her Laurel neighborhood early Sunday morning. The vandals got her husband's truck too. Police released this video showing the suspects at—
Boom! Here comes the window.
Cost me a day from work. And I've been on the phone for about 4 hours since morning talking to our insurance company to get our vehicles fixed.
In the video, you see someone wearing a headlamp break a window and rummage through a car. Police say there were at least 2 breaking in, as well as a getaway driver. Throughout multiple neighborhoods, you can see cars with windows busted out, glass on the ground, and people cleaning out the shattered glass in their cars.
You know, coming on the heels of the whole, George Floyd thing this past Memorial Day weekend, a couple of weekends ago, we had that whole justice reform push. Well, this is kind of end result of that. You've got a whole bunch of folks in the judicial system that are just completely soft on crime. We see them here in Seattle. We had a shootout with cops. A couple of days ago, we had a shootout with cops of a convicted felony drug dealer who had been out of jail. He was in jail for 5 years, had a 7-year sentence, was out, got popped a couple more times, and then he's in a shootout, and the cops are chasing after him, and they're calling him by name, DeMarcus, drop your gun. Because they know who he is, and they're on a first-name basis with this guy. He's shooting at them. They're shooting back. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous because some penny-waist judge said, oh, yeah, we think you're going to be better next time. Let's just go ahead and let you out. Well, who was the knucklehead that let this kid out? Let's read the story. Laurel police arrested a 16-year-old Wednesday morning in connection to car break-ins in the night of May 4th. He and 2 other teens smashed car windows and stole items from 54 cars in Laurel, 67 more in Prince George, and Arundel and Howard counties. 3 different counties. They were just simply going through neighborhoods and targets of opportunity breaking into cars. If there was something in there, they'd steal it. We heard the police chief say that. Video from that night shows 2 suspects walk from car to car in a parking lot and use flashlights to search inside. A 3rd suspect is driving a car closely in case they need to escape. The car was stolen. It's well planned out. This is not uncommon. This happens all the time. The big difference between what's going on now and what used to happen is after a while, judicial system back in the day would actually incarcerate people. But we're not doing that because justice reform. Oh, yeah. You need to give everybody a chance. 45 chances. The convicted felon drug dealer that was chased in Seattle. Cops are shooting at him until he finally just laid down on the street. He had been out on parole, busted a couple more times, and still was released into the community. I mean, it makes no sense. Let's see. You got a convicted drug dealer getting busted again for the same crimes out on parole. How does this make any sense at all? It doesn't. How does a 16-year-old hitting 121 cars and going back out onto the streets within 5 hours. How does that make any sense at all? It doesn't. Investigators found the keys to the stolen car and keys to 25 other cars during a search warrant of the 16-year-old suspect's home in Beltsville. You know what? Maybe the kid doesn't do any time, but the parents do. Mom, dad, whoever has custody of this kid, we're going to need you to pay for some crimes of your kid. If your kid's under 18, we're going to need you to be responsible. At least have them maybe cover the costs of 121 windshields or windows, whatever they were. Maybe that. Stolen items. Maybe they cover that. I mean, seems fair, doesn't it? But no, we're not doing that. There were 0 repercussions so far. They also found several stolen items. Not a shocker. 5 hours after arresting the teen, police had to release him. He was released back into the community. I mean, this is just the thing that just irks me. He was released back into the community, back into the environment that allowed him to be out roaming the streets in all of these counties late at night and in the early morning, Hamill said during a news conference. Detectives that had the support of the state's attorney office to hold the teen, but the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services, DJS, denied their request, saying the teen didn't have a prior record and the crimes weren't violent. Ask that to all the families that had to, clean glass out of the inside of their car. Yeah, little Johnny, you can't sit down. You'll get glass embedded in your ass. I mean, that's just absolutely absurd. And then you got to go through the hassle of getting a window replaced. And you've been violated. That's violence. That is literally violence. The police chief admonished the DGS's decision. Yeah, because it's absurd. If the kid broke into 121, I don't care if he has a prior record or not. There's got to be more accountability than that. It's just, This is absurd. We don't do this lightly. We don't ask for young people to be held on a whim. We do so to help protect the community and them. So, folks in these communities, you need to take a look at who you're putting in your judicial system. Yeah, all those progressive folks, yeah, those aren't the folks you really want when it comes right down to issues like soft on-crime policies. But that's who you've got. That's who you've got, is a bunch of progressives that say, everybody is due a second chance. Even this young man, 16, 121 cars, boop, let him go. Let him go. I have little hope there will be further accountability for him due to this broken system, says the police chief. Yeah, it's broken. That's absurd. That's just absolutely asinine to let some kid go like that. Nah. Let him cool his jets for quick 6 months. I don't care if he doesn't make it through. What would he be? Sophomore in high school, 10th grade? Yeah, he can figure that out. There has to be repercussions for your actions. Otherwise, these kids, they just go right back to it. And that is this story. He went right back to it after this. Right back to it. Hamill said, although some might consider car break-ins a lower-level crime, they greatly affect the victims who often have to pay hundreds of dollars on their insurance deductibles and miss work because they don't have a usable car. Yeah, you ever tried to drive a car with a big thing of plastic over the window? God, that's annoying, isn't it? Can't really go on the freeway. That loud flapping noise, just horrific. Somebody broke into my car and everybody else in my community broke into their car. And then some weak-ass judicial whatever. He's a good kid. I mean, he's mostly good when he's not breaking into 121 cars. This is premeditated. They had a plan. 3 of them. They've got their system. Somebody taught them this. Those guys need to go to jail as well. I had one woman stop me and mention to me that this is the 3rd time this has happened to her car. And because the deductible was so high, she had to make adjustments in her home, including the purchase of food. People have a hard enough time with high cost of living, housing costs being incredibly high, vehicles just expensive. I mean, anything now to get replaced. I did 4 tires on my Jeep Grand Cherokee, my 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's over 10 years old. It's fine. But 4 new tires, I mean, slightly aggressive tread was $1,200, $1,300 after tax, 13 something after tax. 4 tires, just for 4 tires. Like, oh, that's absurd. This is out of control. This is absurd. Then somebody comes along and bashes the window out of your car. Well, let's just throw a car window in on that as well. Now, here's the next headline related to that story. Maryland teen arrested for breaking into 121 cars is released hours later only to loot a dozen more vehicles. Maryland teen busted for allegedly breaking 121 cars in a single night, released within hours. Irate local police say more than a dozen cars were looted the next day. Now, we're not saying that there's, they don't have this kid specifically on record, but the odds are it's his buddies and probably him, because if you're, busted for popping 121 cars and they release you right back to the community, it doesn't exactly say, hey, you know what, young man, you should be cooling your jets for a while. Maybe you need to think about the consequences to your actions. All that the judicial system in Maryland has said to this young man is crime does pay. Hey, nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to get out. We've heard kids here in Washington State telling Seattle police, hey, can you hurry up my processing? I got a big party to go to this weekend. Literally, can you make this quick? I'm going to get out and I need to go to a party. I've got a party to go to. So let's get your Johnny Law thing going here because, I got some girl I'm waiting on and probably some drugs. And maybe after that, we do a little breaking and entering. Who knows? Anything could happen. It's the weekend. Let's get going. Kid got popped on like a Thursday or Friday. The crime spanned Laurel, surrounding parts of Prince George's County. We heard about the Tri-County area, with surveillance footage from the area capturing a gang of 3 teens roving around. We heard all of that. It's just, I mean, what do you even say at that point, right? What do you even say? What do you say? What is going on? What are we doing here? And every time where I hear, concerned residents talking about how they were broken into, everybody else is broken into, we've been there for 22 years. Well, then that means you're responsible for your local officials. You're responsible for the environment of law that you're dealing with, because other communities don't have this type of response to somebody breaking into 121 cars. Do you know what would happen to you if you were in Oklahoma City and you broke into 121 cars? Well, if they didn't physically run you out of town, if they didn't drop the hammer on your family, yeah, a judge is not going to release somebody in a Republican-run city like that. They're not going to release somebody. They're going to say, hey, this has an impact on the community. Doesn't matter if he's a first-time offender. Doesn't matter if he's 16. We're going to hold him to the full accountability of the law. And that's what they would do. And that's why kids in Oklahoma City don't get caught busting into 121 cars in a single shot. That's insane. That's just absolute insanity. But the crazier thing is, it's not that violent. That's when the whole notion of protecting the criminal comes about. And that's what you're doing. You are ensuring that these kids don't learn a lesson and they're going to go right back out and do it again. And guess what? That's what you've got going on here. You just got a bunch of looting going on. And that's why here in Seattle, Portland, LA, San Fran, wherever you've got this, mentality towards justice, which is, well, we need to work with these individuals to get them on the right path. Now, there's this notion that you can fix them. Maybe you can't. Maybe the end goal is just to get some of these people off the streets for little chunks of time. So you've got fewer criminals running around doing their thing. And when you know who they are and you've got video footage, don't release them. Don't release them. Doesn't matter what you do. Don't release them because the optics are so bad. But that's not what's happening. And that's not where we're going with all this, are we? No. In these big Democrat-run cities and states, the criminal is in charge. You're just at their mercy and you're at the whim of whatever judge they end up in front of, even if it is a juvenile. Throw the kid in jail. Let Bubba teach him a lesson. I don't know. That seems reasonable to me, doesn't it? All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.